Hey, name's TheOdie, and I'm a complete noob at making music. You see, I'm making a 2D horror game called Caster's Trap, and rather than taking out a loan to, hire or buy music from the internet, I decided to take it upon myself to create my own melodies for the sake of originality and self-growth. But as I mentioned, I'm a complete noob at making music. My formal education in anything music ended when I was in the 7th grade. You know, the stuff you learned in middle school. Needless to say, I'm a bit rusty. Almost 20 years rusty. Although, I'm not too sure how much learning Jingle Bells or Old MacDonald transfers to creating music for a horror game. Anyway, I decided to do what I did know how to do. Listen to music. The current piece I'm making is for a quote-unquote boss battle. There's this ghostly woman slowly chasing you, but she has a pretty neat mechanic. You look at her and it causes her to vanish. When you look away, she manifests back and continues her approach to kill you. The whole killing thing aside, it doesn't sound too bad, except you need to find a certain key to escape. And the only way to do so is to close your eyes and focus. Now, back to music. I wanted to capture the sense of panic, but also at the same time, use higher notes because that's what's been associated with this particular character from earlier in the game. So, my plan is to inspire off of Kevin MacLeod's Day of Chaos. I know whatever I come up with will definitely not be within the same scale of what he created, but I really like the melody and the overall feeling that it gives off, and I want to capture that and try my best to, in a way, mimic it without copying it. Here I am, back again. What is music? So I get it. Some of you guys would probably say that it's just copying off of someone else's work. But when I stop to think about my current position in the world of music and how well I can do things, at some point you gotta just accept. And I understand that it does sound like I'm settling as opposed to going beyond my limits or my capabilities. But at the same time, being a newbie and comparing myself to what's out there, that can be very demotivating and can eventually cause me or pretty much anyone else to just stop completely. So I understand that what I make is not exactly anything that's just wowzers, it's no Undertale. But much like them, I do have to start somewhere. And if it means simple melodies, then just gotta accept that. And after a solid 2 hours later, this is what I got. we meet again. Okay, I will admit, it's not always that bad. With some pieces, inspiration just hits. I'm playing the piano and BAM! But then there's days like today where I spend an hour and a half and that's all I get. Sometimes I don't get anything at all, and that gets very frustrating. But much like this time, I just wanted to record something, and maybe tomorrow, or whenever the next day is that I try playing again, it'll come to me. And I don't always keep what I have recorded. Sometimes I may scrap that entirely, or I may continue to use that and try and build upon it. I guess what inspiration just hits in that sort of sense. But I think this one is particularly more difficult because up until now, I've just been playing slower pieces, more atmospheric and more ambient, as opposed to, because this is a chase sequence, so I gotta do something that's more higher in BPMs to get the heart rate racing and to really reflect on what the character is feeling and how the player should be feeling as well. That said, it's almost 9 o'clock. I have a package that just got dropped off because, you know, Amazon is doing OP things, and when you think about it, that's kind of rough. I imagine that they started delivering at like 9 in the morning or even earlier, and it's 9 at night, and they deliver it about an hour, maybe 2 hours ago. So that's rough. Hope they get paid hourly, so they just keep on trucking. Get that overtime, baby. Wonder if that's nice. Hopefully they get overtime. They deserve it. Anyway, let's go. Bang! And bang! I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of sad that this is as small as it is. I thought it would be a lot bigger. Duo deck box because I started playing Magic the Gathering, Commander in specific, and this is supposed to be super safe rust remover. It's basically water based, no toxics, no acids, no scrubbing, and it's supposed to be reusable. So, yeah. To explain that a little bit more, I am currently restoring an old vintage Photobo bike. Something I've done before in late high school, so it's nothing new, but at the same time, I decided to record it, and hopefully it turns out to be a good video. So I hope you look forward to that. And in 3, 2, 1... Right now, I have a goal to create a melody while adding tension. I want the player to feel a sense of danger, and thus I decided for a heavy bass. My only problem is that I often do not know where to go after the first few notes down. Alright, that's good. Okay, alright, so thoughts. I want to hold this rhythm throughout the entire scale, but I also want to introduce a new rhythm. And that bass line was just there to help build it, but what I want to try doing is like... kind of similar to, again, using McClouds as an example. So you have that piano sound in the back, which is... then you have the louder strings, the plucky noises in the front. And that's something similar I want to do for here. Don't love it, but it kind of works. Oh my god. I hate that I'm enjoying it because it's too distracting. Ow. It's unfortunate that I'm filming in the daytime, because now I don't have the bad lighting to reflect the torture and pain in my heart. I feel like the hardest thing is knowing which instrument to use, because you got the idea in the back of your mind exactly what you want to do and how it should sound like, but you don't have the instruments for it, and you also don't know how to use effects on the right instruments to make it sound the way that you want to make it sound. It's like we all listen to music, we all kind of know and how music builds, but we don't know how to make that sound happen. And I feel like all of it that comes down to experience, because then I could just be like, oh, glockenspiel. That thing right there needs the glockenspiel. Toss on some reverb, toss on some resonator, and whatever other effects exist, and BAM! I wish I could do that. Meanwhile, here I am with what feels like hundreds of different instruments to scroll through, and just pressing the keyboard to hopefully find something. But I'll never find it because all these instruments require you to put effects on it. And without having that knowledge of what effect does what to an instrument, it makes it so much more tougher, so much more difficult to pick the right thing and to use the right stuff. So that's why I'm here again, on the couch, melting into it, in hopes I feel better to try again later. Only to find something and get totally distracted playing with that sound, like I always do. And that's the circle of me playing music. I'm kind of thinking back and wishing that I just stuck to 8-bit. At least that way, it limits it so much more that I have to work with what I got, as opposed to trying to aim for that perfection that I have in the back of my mind. But you know what? That's a rant for another couch session.
Thank you for watching Couch Ranting with TheOdie.
And I'm back 10 minutes later. Alright, I want a riser right here, and then it's gonna change to, I think, something lower. The same thing still. So it's a little bit repetitive, but that's okay. It's okay. So unfortunately with risers, there's not a whole or a riser. Alright, maybe we have to make it ourselves. I'm thinking of a bell that holds it. It's like a rattle. That's what I'm thinking of. Ah! Too hard. Ah, what am I doing?
I get totally distracted.
I want something more windier. Windrise. Screw it. I'm going back to YouTube. Windriser. So, I don't like the melody anymore. I also don't like the rhythm anymore. As nice as it's building up, it does not fit the boss battle that I think belongs to the scene. So what that means is scrapping it and trying again. I wouldn't say that this is common, but also wouldn't say it's uncommon. Sometimes I just don't like what I make anymore. Yes, it does mean starting from scratch, but I like to think that everything I've done so far has opened new ideas to try. This way, no effort feels wasted. So I think it's happening again, where I'm listening to my inspiration and I'm comparing myself and my abilities to hope and achieve what they're doing, when theirs clearly sounds like a super mega ultra professional, and mine just sounds very mediocre and amateur. But I keep forgetting the fact that I am mediocre and amateur. Right now I have this conflicted feeling of, should I be settling with what I can do, or trying to push further and achieve what they're doing? And the thing about that is that if I'm settling, it feels awful because you're settling rather than pushing for the stars. But at the same time, I am just an amateur and I'm super mediocre. And not to say that it's understandable, but more so, I should do what I can do at my current level as opposed to shooting further than what I can grasp. In a way, if you saw my iceberg video, I'm the person trying to dive into the ocean to reach to the bottom, when clearly I've only just met this iceberg and I should spend my time on the top, accepting where I am, as opposed to doing something that a person who has spent many years doing can achieve. But man, does it just feel ugful. Alright, thoughts. This is what I managed to build so far. I kind of like it a little bit more, although... No, I do like it more. It's the best I can do. That I like. So I think I'm going to keep this But there's definitely a lot more I want to add to this. One of which is that screechy noise that's kind of like... Oh god. Of course, it sounds good in my head, but then when I try to say it myself, I just sound crazy. I don't know how, or if I can do it in the editor with the instruments. I'm just not that skilled. So instead, I'm gonna go on YouTube or freesound.com and grab myself something. Man, I'm dead exhausted. After a week of trial and error, and, well, can't say that I'm too proud of what I've created, but I think it does do the trick. You know, there's a lot of things that I can think about in the back of my mind, the way I hear it as opposed to the way it actually sounds. And, God, my laundry machine looks like it's gonna explode! Ugh. Hey guys, after a week of trying to create this, and to be honest, it still does not sound the way I want it to sound, but at the same time, I don't think I can make it sound the way I want it to sound. Like, in the back of my head, I have these different sound effects or the different types of tunes that I would like for it to have, but again, I'm restricted by that inexperience of knowing the different instruments, knowing the different effects, and how to create the sort of horror technique that we see in a lot of horror games today. I'm sure that if I keep trying, I will one day eventually achieve, but for now, I think I just gotta set my current skill level, and if it is something I do want to pursue, then it's something I'll spend more and more time with, practicing different things. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm a complete noob at this. Do not learn from me. There are many, many more geniuses out there that can probably show you and teach you better. It was just a day in the life of a newbie game dev trying to make newbie music. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, comment down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Till then,